all about the money. I'ma hustle, go get it. Don't trip. I'ma always be straight, never fucking with fake friends. Nah, never that. All about the money. I'ma hustle, go get it. Don't trip. I'ma always be straight, never fucking with fake friends. Nah, never that. Don't trip, pussy ass motherfucker. Get a grip, I'ma never get caught lacking. Nah, you won't ever catch me slip. Hand always been tight on the clock when I'm chilling at the stoplight. Cause you never know when it's your time to go. Only thing that's got my back, all them blue and green faces. I'ma never trust a soul. I done had too many friends do me dirty. Now it's fuck you. Cold-hearted in a cold world. That's the way you gotta be. Always staying calm on the surface, but don't piss me off. All about the money. I'ma hustle, go get it.
Alrighty, so I did some videoing yesterday. I didn't like how some of it turned out, but I'm still gonna put it up because it is what it is. Today I'm gonna break loose the head bolts and all of these 9/16 bolts that go down through into the head as well, and start getting that taken care of. I'm gonna get everything loose. I'm not gonna lift this head off today because I'm by myself, so I really don't want anything to happen, you know, to not only the engine but to myself. I don't want to try overdoing it and then end up hurting myself or dropping something on me and or anything like that. So I'm gonna just loosen it up today, and then when I have Corey or somebody here, I'm going to use them to help me get the head off. That way there's somebody here just in case anything goes south. So I'm going to continue on with tearing down this motor, and we will just keep videoing. Alrighty, so welcome back to 5150 Adventures, where today we are working on the Marmon's engine. I've already started. You'll see as soon as I start the hyperlapse is what they call it, but time lapse. Once we get to that, you'll be able to see the process of where I've gotten up to this point, and then after that it'll continue on, maybe with some little explanations here or there. But what I've gotten so far is I got the valve covers off. Now remember, there's a liner in here that has a crack in it, so there's water in the oil. So we're tearing this apart to do that. Now with that, I'm taking everything off other than the injection pump right now. I'm gonna end up taking the fuel lines off, the intake off the rest of the way. But so far I've got all the front accessories off. I just need to get an accessory bracket off, get the dampener off, and get ready to open this whole conglomeration up, so that we can adjust some timing and stuff like that. But before I get to that part, I got to get the head off, because I want to look down in there and see how bad everything is and how close the old pistons are to the new ones, because we are upgrading pistons to a completely different piston that came in this engine. Once I get everything out and organized, then I will show you guys those. But as of right now, I just figured I would catch up on where I'm at this point, and gotta get the starter off and some little things. But continue watching and stay tuned, because there is a lot of cool things going to happen with this engine, from internals to externals to everything. It's going to be a really nice, well-rounded build, and I can't wait to share it with you guys. So stay tuned with me, and we'll go back to a time lapse and me tearing this down the rest of the way. Alrighty, so as you've seen in the little time lapse there, I've gotten the intake manifold off, I've gotten fuel lines off, front accessories are all off. I just need to get that bracket off. I'm going to get this bracket off, flip it upside down, that way it stays there, the bolts stay where they need to be. And then from there, it will be taking all them head studs out, and then all the little bolts here and there that all got to come out as well. So I'm going to run over to the other shop, and I'm going to get some plugs so I can plug all these fuel ports up, because if anything gets in there that's not supposed to be in there, it'll come through the line into the injector line and into the ejector and possibly clog an injector. So I'm going to go get that stuff so we can plug that, and then I'm going to get everything ready to take the head off, and we will be back here in a little bit and see you in a second. All right, so I am getting everything over here plugged. I'm getting internal injector lines taken off. I'm going to stack everything up on my shelf over there, and then I'm going to get the turbo off so that I could access everything with the turbo manifold. Now, what I'm going to end up doing is tearing this down. I got a good head on another engine that the bottom end, something happened to it. I think he fell through a hole and crushed the oil pan, and the T-post went up the side of the block and chipped the block away. So everything on the top end's good. So what I'm going to do is take the head off of this one, get the good head off the other one, because that head has everything for me to retain the Jake brakes. This head, as you see, does not have any Jake brakes. None whatsoever. So not only that, if I'm going to put better pistons in it and turn it up to where it's over 350 horsepower, which this engine is currently rated at, if I'm going to be going, I need to stop, and having Jake brakes helps me stop. So with that being said, I'm going to continue on. I'll put you guys on the time lapse and we'll get going. Like I said, you know, there's a lot of water in the oil. It looks really nasty. Not very clean looking. And you can see it through everything. And then there's this one rocker on number 1, and it's pretty rusted. So I really don't feel like using anything from this head would do me any justice. So I will use everything off of that good used engine and go from there. I'll check the turbo on that good used engine, make sure that everything's good and within spec. But until we get to that point, I'm going to continue with doing this while you guys watch the time. Okay, so what I started out doing is I got all of the valve train out, rocker arms and push tubes. So I'm going to get all the other head studs out. I'm going to lay everything out how it came out on here. So this would be 6 exhaust, 6 intake, 5 exhaust, 5 intake, 4 exhaust, 4 intake, and so on and so forth. This is the rear, this is the front, this is the front, this is the rear. Just as I pull them out, they're coming off. I'm also going to take out all the bridges so I don't lose them. So I got all the bridges off and they're laid out. All my intakes are from number 6 to number 1, number 6 to number 1. The back 3 rack bolts, the front 3 rack bolts, and then now I've got to undo all these head studs. And what I'm doing is I'm untorquing them with a torque wrench so I can make sure that they're all at least close to where they needed to be. So far, this one didn't even click. I had to put some force on it, but it didn't click. This one did, this one did, these two didn't, and that one did. So just getting an idea of which holes and jackets I need to look at just to make sure that everything's good. Alrighty, so I've got all the head bolts broke except for these two here. I gotta get this off and that water temp sensor that we're not gonna use anymore. Get it out of there so I can pop them out. And then from there, the head will be loose enough for me to pop it up and get some blocks or something to shim underneath it so that it is ready to come completely off. So at that point, I'm gonna continue on. I'm probably not gonna hyperlapse this next part. Running out of storage on the phone, so I gotta go through and delete some stuff. But I will be right back with this stuff removed and those bolts released. One thing I do gotta say before I cut out on this is these two bolts, the torque wrench clicked on. This one it clicked on. Everything else, I had to put a lot of pressure comparatively on it, but not as much as I should have had to put. So that kind of makes me nervous going into this. When we go back together, I'll explain the old way and why these are probably loose versus a way I was just taught about 4 years ago. And it actually puts more clamping force on the head, and your head bolts won't stretch as easy. So, or be loose, I should say, not stretched. So I'll be right back with everything undone. Alrighty, so I've got the 3/8 bolts out all along the cold side, and I got all the head bolts out, and I've got everything lined out from the front all the way to the back. So now I'm going to lift the head up on the back side and try getting a 2x4 or something underneath it so that it's up, and then do the same on the front here after well, this is kind of all jacked up. I don't know. I might have to leave that on for right now, but at least lift it up so that I can separate the seal from here to here, because when I took this all apart over here yesterday, I found this in the coolant passageway, which does not make me feel good. So I'm also going to gooey take the radiator down and have it really gone through, like cleaned and rotted. There's a place here in town that does that type of stuff. So right now all I got left, pop the head, see how nice it comes off. Again, every single bolt was loose except for this one, and this one. These three popped at torque. Everything else had a reasonably amount to go to be able to torque it down the rest of the way. Don't get me wrong, I still used a lot of torque and pressure to get those loose, but none of them were at the torque spec that they were supposed to be. So that makes me wonder if it's either got a warped head, or if somebody's been in here and didn't do things 100% correctly. We bought it at an auction, so with buying things at auction, there's no telling. They could have just threw it together, got it running, took it down there and make it somebody else's problem and turned into mine. So, I mean, I'd rather do engine work than have to find a bunch of other marmon pieces that are impossible to find, because at least I can still go to the cat dealer and find parts for this for the most part, or Interstate McD or PID or heavy highway parts. There is parts available for this engine still. As to where parts on the truck, I have to either convert it over to Peterbilt, Kenworth, Freightliner, Western Star, and all that stuff. So at this point, I'm going to lift the head up, get it blocked up, and go from there. Okay, so this is where I got the engine blocked up in the front and the rear. I cocked it a little sideways so I could see what some of the cylinders look like, and they don't look bad, but they don't look good either. That one looks probably the best. I'm trying to figure out why it had so much blow by when we picked it up. That could be that the rings are seated wrong, or it wasn't broke in properly, or they didn't line the rings out when they put them together. But it doesn't look too terribly horrible. There is a little rust on that piston, or scorching. I don't see, from where I'm at right now, I don't see any cracked pistons or anything like that. But there is one with a liner that is cracked. I could do the cheap thing and just replace that liner and send it, but the amount of blow by that this thing had really has me concerned. The stop leak in the block that I found has me concerned. So once I get this thing tore apart, the one thing I'm going to need to do is flush this system out. I'm going to have to take it to the car wash, pressure wash every coolant orifice I can to make sure that there's nothing in there. The other thing is I have all the new pistons and liners sitting there that are going to go into this. These are going to be a little bit better piston. They are a little higher compression ratio than what this engine has, according to engine serial number. Now, if that is correct or not, I don't know. But once I get the pistons out, I could call Caterpiller, have them run these pistons, and tell me what the difference is between this and stock, or if these are the stock ones, or whatever, or what they called for stock. These should be a 14.5 to 1 compression. The ones we're going in with are 16.5 to 1 compression. So a little more power out of it. So until next time, like, subscribe, share with your friends and family. And for the rest of the day, I'm going to clean up, and then I'm going to go to my buddy James's, help him with his race car. But encourage friends to watch it, because there's young guys my age and or younger, and some a little older, that don't have knowledge about these old mechanical engines, that may want to learn about these mechanical engines. And I could do that to the best of my ability. Anything I have questions on, I have guys that I can call and ask. There's a guy at Caterpiller here that is really good at helping us. I got a buddy that owns his own shop that is really good with these old motors. And there's a guy right down the road from us that deals with these specifically. So if I have any questions I have, or you have, I can get them answered as closely to fastly as possible. So if you have any questions, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you later.